Alright, bro, let's go. We're getting our tires replaced. Um, alright, 2024 Ekber 31 Eddie. We are going to be reading from Bruce Hood, The Self-Illusion. No, we finished that. We're reading from Dr. Robert Bertain on Being Certain, Believing You Are Right Even When You're Not. We are in chapter 8, Perceptual Thoughts, a further clarification. And let's get into it, bro. All right, chapter 8, Perceptual Thoughts, a further clarification. Actually, we're starting that chapter now. Your erroneous recollection of Izzy Nuts' house, because in the previous chapter you were driving with your wife. You hadn't been in Izzy's house in about 20 years. And so you wanted to go into his house, and you, I guess you went down the wrong street. But anyway, you saw a house that looked similar to his, and you were certain that it was his. And you guys knocked on the door and everything, and it was not his. Your erroneous recollection of Izzy Nuts' house also raises the knotty problem of the reliability of memory. If we see the 123 Filbert Street sign, and Izzy answers the door, the feeling of knowing is appropriate. But what about the second scenario when it wasn't Izzy's house? The feeling of knowing was the same, only this time it was not to be trusted. To understand the problem of the same feeling of knowing being attached to correct and incorrect conclusions, we need to take a quick look at the present-day understanding of memory. Section: Episodic versus Semantic Memory. My grammar school was torn down decades ago. My high school has been converted to a public administration building, but the names remain engraved in my brain. Neuropsychologists refer to these as semantic memories, in contrast to episodic memories, which are the memories of what happened at the schools. Semantic memories include everything from the date and time of the attack on Pearl Harbor and the number of home runs hit by Babe Ruth to your present address and social security number. These are the packets of concrete information that can be externally verified and agreed upon. We can count the number of floors of the Empire State Building. I can pull out my old high school yearbooks and see the name Lowell High School embossed on the cover. A foot will always be 12 inches. I don't think I knew what semantic memories were then. Okay, good to know. In contrast, episodic refers to the remembrance of specific episodes strung together via a narrative of first this happened and then that happened. These are the memories that are revised by subsequent experience. Section: Eyewitness accuracy. And that's I, like me. Eyewitness. Je témoigne. Spend time reminiscing with a sibling, and chances are that you will uncover dissimilar accounts of what you thought were shared childhoods. My sister and I might as well have been raised on separate planets. There is so little overlap in our respective tales from the crib. Even the rubbery Sunday chicken was fresh or frozen, bland or spicy, served hot or cold. I have a friend whose sister published her memoir of her childhood. While reading it, my friend kept checking the jacket photo to be sure that it was his sister who had written the book. Oh, you're confusing me. How many sibling pairs are there? I have a friend whose sister published her memoir of her childhood. While reading it, my friend... See? Let us assume that my sister is right, that the chicken was exactly as she now describes it, and that I originally saw exactly what she saw. This is not a concession, only a hypothetical. Now, my memory is different than hers, but I am not equipped with an alarm mechanism or pop-up dialog box that warns me when a memory is altered. Boom. Super important. I was not notified. I never experienced the mutating of a former memory. I use the word mutate intentionally. If such changes occur in an untraceable silence, I must concede that I am the quintessential postmodern, unreliable narrator. The I of prior experience is only a fleeting pattern of no particular predictability. I am nothing if not my past. The I of prior experience is only a fleeting pattern of no particular predictability. I am nothing if not my past. Now let's put that in red because I don't think I actually understand that. Someone explain that to me. We're moving on. Someone explain it in the comments. None of us have an instinctual belief that our memories are this fragile. Despite the proliferation of psychological studies questioning the accuracy of episodic memory recall, we cling to the belief that our pasts approximately correspond to our memories. Sometimes we sense that the details are a bit faded, but we rarely doubt the essence of a memory. Sometimes we sense that the details are a bit faded, but we rarely doubt the essence of a memory. We rely upon the notion that, at the very least, the memories of our past reflect fundamental truths. The all too seductive argument, if I can be sure of where I was born, and this feeling of knowing can be easily verified, shouldn't I trust all my memories that feel correct? If I can sing the complete lyrics of an obscure Beatles song and double-check its accuracy on some internet website, then surely I can remember 2 lines of dialogue from that dreadful conversation during which you accused me of, or promised me, or I specifically told you that. Dialogue is dialogue. Memory is memory, right? If you think the brain regularly accomplishes this, then you've never had the following exasperating exchange. You started it. No. First you said, and then I said. Just once. Why can't you get it straight? You said, and then I said. And by the way, that's not at all what I actually said. I heard what I heard. You started this one by accusing me of... I hadn't even opened my mouth yet. Not a peep. So now it's my imagination? We should videotape our conversations. Note from the narrator. Yes, you should always record your conversations. And if you didn't record a conversation, shut the fuck up about it. The moment you disagree with someone about the conversation, you need to immediately concede, we don't know what happened then. And you need to reframe your conversation about the conversation. You need to say, all right, so maybe you didn't say this. And I'm going to keep an eye out to see whether you say in the future what I feel like you said. I'm going to let you know in the future if I hear it. But I guess for now, can you just keep that in mind, that in case you did say that, that's how that would have made me feel if you had said that. But I accept that we don't know what happened, even though we both have crystal clear differing memories of what happened. So someone said, we should videotape our conversations. We couldn't even agree on when to start the camera. If we are so easily confused over who said what to whom when, how can we consider these memories accurate? Yet that's how we live our lives. If you have any question about episodic memories' inherent instability and unreliability, you need only consider the Challenger study, UFO and alien abduction testimonials, or the O.J. Simpson trial. This is not the place to cite chapter and verse about the frailties of episodic memory. For an excellent summary of the latest studies of faulty recall, shifting memories, and false memory syndromes, check out the excellent and easily accessible writings of Harvard psychologist Daniel Schachter. Okay? Eyebrows look good, huh? If we accept that there are two fairly distinct forms of memory, semantic and episodic, we might also contemplate the possibility of an analogous distinction for different categories of thought. At one end of the thought spectrum would be brute memorization and rote utilization of facts as tools. If, in high school physics, you learn that F equals m times a, you have memorized an equation that won't change with subsequent experience. If a quantum mechanic should crawl out from under an atom and say that F equals ma doesn't work, your memory of the equation remains correct. Memorizing facts doesn't require logic, cause and effect, or any significant ability to reason. Some thoughts, like semantic memories, are essentially self-defining. Christmas is on December 25. A foot is always 12 inches. No complex hidden layer processing is necessary. Oh, that was another fact. Okay. No complex hidden layer processing is necessary. A fact will remain a fact in perpetuity, as long as the initial underlying assumptions persist. It isn't necessary to reason out that Christmas is on December 25, because December 25 is part of the definition of Christmas. For purposes of simplicity, let's call thoughts that require only memorization, but no decision-making, logical analysis, or reasoning, semantic thoughts. Not a very appealing term, but useful as a reminder of the similarity to semantic memories. By contrast, thoughts that arise out of complex computations within the hidden layer might be seen as the equivalent of episodic memories that are continuously and subliminally undergoing revisions, augmentations, and diminutions. Like episodic memories, such thoughts require an element of perception and are subject to a variety of perceptual illusions. Since the term episodic thought is cumbersome, I have chosen the more descriptive term perceptual thought, but only thought is italicized. In the following discussion of thinking, we will be primarily addressing perceptual thoughts. That's it. All right, so that's it for our chapter, perceptual thoughts, a further clarification. So perceptual thoughts are basically like the analogy, analogous to episodic memories versus semantic thoughts, which are like semantic memories. So let's call thoughts that require only memorization but no decision-making, logical analysis, or reasoning semantic thoughts. And by contrast, the thoughts that come out of the complex computations within the hidden layer, let's call those, because they require an element of perception, like episodic memories, and are subject to a variety of perceptual illusions, let's call them perceptual thoughts. Deal? Great. Chapter 9, The Pleasure of Your Thoughts. It is obvious that the feeling of knowing is essential to the learning process, but to appreciate its enormous power requires a brief discussion of brain reward systems. I am an inveterate poker player. To justify my degeneracy, I have been known to mumble about the thrill of competition, a fascination with a quick calculation of the proper odds, a level playing field. Taking steroids doesn't help. The best hand always wins. There are no bad line calls, flexible strike zones, or hanging chads. To lift a title from Paul Auster, I may even wax poetic on the music of chance. To lift a title from Paul Auster, I may even wax poetic on the music of chance in a world of unpredictability. I don't know who that is, or what they said, or what he's talking about. All the above might be true, yet I must confess to a more powerful motivation. I play to feel lucky. Not me. protests the statistician. Poker isn't gambling. In the long run, the cards will break even and skill will prevail. To be fair, I have met players who outwardly pay 100% lip service to the laws of probability, but I suspect this is merely a great poker face. At the moment, the crucial card is being dealt. You show me a gambler, no matter how icy a cerebrospinal fluid, and I will show you primitive man howling at the moon, waiting for the miracle that will deliver him from ordinariness. Let's hear that again. So all that shit that I say about the thrill of competition, a fascination with a quick calculation, the level playing field, the best hand always wins, blah, blah, blah. I must confess to a more powerful motivation. I play to feel lucky. All the, and then the statistician might protest, not me. We might say poker isn't gambling. In the long run, the cards will break even and skill will prevail. But BS. Bertan's calling BS. He says, at the moment the crucial card is being dealt, you show me a gambler, no matter how icy a cerebrospinal fluid, no matter how much shit he's talking about probabilities and how he's not concerned about this hand, and even if he doesn't get the card this hand, he's playing the odds correctly for the the long run. All that shit, and I will show you primitive man howling at the moon, waiting for the miracle that will deliver him from ordinariness. Stick the most rational of the rationalists in a poker game, hook up a lie detector to his subconscious, and you will hear the silent supplications. Oh, poker lord, give me an ace. Check out the raw expressions of hope in those gathered around the roulette wheel, the 7-Eleven store at lottery time, or those transfixed by the NASDAQ ticker in Times Square. Standing in the Las Vegas baggage claim arrival area, and you are knee-deep in electricity and excitement. Stand in the Las Vegas baggage claim arrival area, and you are knee-deep in electricity and excitement. Those impatiently waiting to grab their bags and hit the tables ignore the body language of defeat and the expressions of tired truths worn by those leaving town. The dismal likelihood of the big win is momentarily ignored. The dismal likelihood of the big win is momentarily ignored. According to the tortured odds of wishful thinking, the knowledge that nearly everyone else has lost only means that your chances of winning must be greater. Let's play that slot machine. It hasn't paid off in days, so it must be due. And we talked about, in Pinker, we talked about whether the events are independent or not. And the gambler's fallacy. And the hot hand fallacy. The recent stock market bubble was in large part dependent upon an irrational suspension of disbelief. People talk of investing, but the thrill of watching one's stocks go up wasn't just about making money. Despite the parabolic rise in stock valuations, the vast majority of analysts discarded the lessons of history in favor of the second-by-second intoxication of an out-of-control market. We all should have known better, but we could not help ourselves. And also, we lack critical recognition, so we don't know better. My hair, I think, is so cool, isn't it? And we still have this bun up here. Maybe we'll cut it off and just go full short on the top, dreads in the back. We'll see. Section, the pleasure principle. If you place brain electrodes in strategic rat pleasure centers, the rats will continuously press the bar that activates the pleasure-producing electrodes, foregoing food and water until they drop. Through the use of imaging and detailed anatomic studies, as well as microelectrode implantations, neuroscientists have demonstrated extensive connections between the regions of the brain responsible for pleasure reward systems, affect and emotion, and opioid peptides, endorphins. A key component of brain reward circuitry is the mesolimbic dopamine system, a set of nerve cells that originate in the upper brainstem, the ventral tegmental area. Though several neurotransmitters may be involved, dopamine is considered essential to the activation of this reward circuitry. This system extends to those areas that integrate emotion and cognition, including portions of the limbic system and orbital frontal cortex and the nucleus accumbens, an area at the base of the brain widely thought to be involved in addictive behavior. On brain imaging studies, we can see naturally occurring reward systems hard at play. Clumps of neurons, positively radiant in response to pleasing tastes, odors, touch, and music. Man, in his great psychopharmaceutical ingenuity, has connived ways of tricking the brain. Cocaine, amphetamines, alcohol, and nicotine activate similar regions. Winning at gambling turns the orbital frontal cortex into pure neon. Without this exhilaration, there would be no addiction. Conversely, obliteration of the orbital frontal region via prefrontal lobotomies, results in apathetic and unmotivated human zombies. Long-term intent is abolished. Research into addictions to drugs, alcohol, gambling, and cigarettes have been instrumental in revealing how behavior is rewarded. The general principle, equally applicable to the worst cocaine addiction, stamp collecting, or idle musings, is that for behavior to persist, there must be some brain-mediated reward. Obviously, it only works if it works, right? That's kind of like the flip side of that, right? So it had to be installed to be, you know, like either something feels wrong if you don't do it, or something feels really good if you do it. I remember one time I was talking about people who I think were bothered. I was in Croatia with my ex, and people were bothered. Not people. I don't know. Somebody was bothered about Neo smelling them, and that bothered me. I don't understand. And that bothered me that people were so annoyed that he would dare, sniff them. And it's just a totally natural way humans do the exact same shit. It may look a little different, but we look, we interact, and it can be absolute bullshit interaction. It can be about absolutely anything at all. And what we're doing is we're kind of just sniffing the person out, getting a feel for the person, making a category in our mind for that person. Okay, you are an entity. And here are a couple of things I can associate with you. Okay, got it. And I think the way that I was talking about it, my girlfriend was like, "Oh, what? You're just saying that the only reason we do it is because it's part of our sort of protocol?" She was skeptical. She was like, "No, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy, that. So I really enjoy, uh, getting to know someone, having that conversation, and you don't know the conversation I'm talking about. The one where you're laughing for no reason. First meeting someone, and yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. Whatever bullshit." She said, "I really enjoy it." I said, "Well, obviously, because it's important. You wouldn't do it if you didn't fucking enjoy it." You're like, "Oh my gosh, here goes the obligatory small talk butt sniffing interaction. Ay, 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 ay." And you know what? I wouldn't even feel bad if I didn't do it. I don't at all feel good doing it. Well, then you wouldn't fucking do it, would you? So yeah, obviously we get some reward from doing it, or something bothers us if we don't do it. We can complain all day long about small talk. We're still fucking doing it. We're still doing it. That's only on TV that you see a character is like, oh, it sounds like you're about to do small talk with me. Not interested. If you want to talk about life philosophy, I'm here. Otherwise, I feel no need to categorize you, to have any associations with you, to interact with you at all. That's bullshit. It's total bullshit. My father is terrified of interacting with people. Never knows what to say, he says. He's terrified because he's terrified. So he's consumed by, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing, whether I'm taking out too much of their time. Yet guess what? Yesterday, there was a couple coming that we knew was coming, a couple of Germans. We thought they were German, they're actually Irish. We thought they were German before they arrived. And then my dad was able to talk to them for a while before realizing they were not German. He was like, wait, where are you guys from? I go, Irish. But I kind of muttered it just in case it was wrong. Anyway, so he said, I remember when I said that I was going to go say hi to them. Well, one thing is, I think he was thinking that they were going to be younger and they were actually his age. That's one reason why. But anyway, he said, all right, but don't take up too much of their time, Eris. Don't lecture them. Don't talk to them too much. And I was like, don't worry about it. I know how to talk to people the right amount of time. I'm usually the one who walks away from a conversation. Um, Anyway, I got the feeling the woman wasn't interested in chatting. The guy was, though. But he wasn't. The guy wasn't seeing that the woman wasn't interested. I was seeing that, though. But my dad, he didn't give a shit. He was small talking, big grin on his face. Probably a little bit of panic on inside, but still doing what you have to fucking do because you're programmed to want to do it. So think about some other things that we need to do. What else might we need to do? And then you tell me, I'm not even going to say, you tell me whether you think that it's something that we enjoy doing and are rewarded for. What's some other shit that we got to do? We have to exercise. We have to eat. We have to have sex. You tell me whether you think that there might be reward systems for those three things. The question we now need to address, what is thought's reward system? If through snap If through snap judgment or insightful deliberation you avoid a charging, hungry lion by scurrying up a tree, you have concrete evidence of the value of your thoughts. The lion slinks away and settles on gazelle tartare for lunch. You climb down from the tree, feeling that you have learned something. The feeling of knowing and the decision to climb the tree become linked together in the neural network labeled what to do in the case of a charging lion. In theory, we could say, if charging lion, then climb up motherfucking tree, bro. The more powerful the experience and the more times it occurs, the greater becomes the linkage between the decision and the feeling that the decision is correct. So you could put another if considering climbing up tree and if uh, a lion charging, then feel confident about that whole decision to climb up tree thing. The feeling of knowing and the related feelings of familiarity are as integral to learning as the visual system is to seeing. The olfactory system is to smell, as basic as mechanisms for fight or flight. Let's do that again. The feeling of knowing and the related feelings of familiarity are as integral to learning as the visual system is to seeing. The feeling of knowing is as integral to learning. Yeah. Yeah. stamp of approval. This is a reliable it. So every time an it is tied to the feeling of knowing, it's like this is a reliable it, not one that we're just testing out, not one that we should ignore in favor for one that is tied to the feeling of knowing, if such exists. Wow. Feelings of strangeness and unfamiliarity can warn us that we are making a wrong turn in our thinking. That doesn't feel right. Something's rotten in Denmark. Don't know what that is. No way. Bad vibes all around. Excellent. You with me, bro? And you know what we're learning from this, if anything, despite what Father says, is that, if anything, we're gaining confidence to, because that's what happened when we read Predictably Irrational when we were, a teenager, as a young adult when we read Thinking Fast and Slow. What those books did is tell us, oh, I'm not fucking crazy. I've noticed all this shit. I've seen this. Well, not all of it, but, I've seen this, and I feel like nobody else is talking about the fact that humans do this, except for you, author. And so the stuff that I've come up with through observation, I've learned an incredible amount from books that I didn't understand myself. Major things. Left brain interpreter, right brain consciousness. Those are two very recent things from like last week. And then the most major thing is Daniel Kahneman making me realize that it's not about emotion, it's about cognitive mechanisms. Then again, Robert Bertain is showing the relevance of emotion in that the feeling of knowing, being certain, is a primal emotion, which makes it an incredibly strong player in the game. But before you have that feeling of knowing, it's not about fear and desire and all that. That's not why we believe the crazy shit that we do. It's the erroneous cognitive mechanisms, which are then supported by the emotion of the feeling of knowing. And yes, they may find support in emotions of fear and so on, maybe, but that's not what matters. What matters is the unreliability of System One, the compellingness of the stories that we weave, of our confabulation, our interpretations. And what we mean by compellingness is the evocation, the triggering of that feeling of knowing, or the coincidence, the coinciding of that feeling of knowing, which can arise spontaneously, as we learned. I don't know whether it arises spontaneously in real life. I don't know. That's important to find out. I don't know. We got to go back to see what he was saying about that. The feeling of knowing most likely was thought's initial yes man. You are one smart dude, the feeling exclaims, high-fiving you, often followed by further self-inflation such as, that's using your head. Man has evolved. Thoughts have become more complex and abstract. Much of what we think about today has no clear answer, no obvious cause and effect result, and isn't easily measurable. Has in reality no clear answer. But we might have what we think clear as day. Oh, here's the answer. We can never know with certainty whether decisions to invade Iraq, to restrict stem cell research, or to permit private ownership of handguns are the best decisions. Stem cell research. Holy fuck. When was this written? 2000 and we looked it up. It was like 2009, 2012. The law of unforeseen consequences tells us that today's seemingly positive result might be next decade's catastrophe. Feeling of knowing most likely was thought's initial yes man. Remember DDT? No. What's DDT again? Is that pesticide? Personal decisions, from deciding whether to get tested for the genes for Alzheimer's to whether or not to whether or not to title your novel Catch 22 cannot be tested. So much of our thinking occurs in the dark. Our Catch 22. In order to pursue a new thought, we must feel the thought is worth pursuing before we have any supporting evidence or justification. So, I mean, I'm not concerned about the amount of supporting evidence or justification. But when my dad challenges me on whether my work is worth pursuing, he doesn't say it's not worth pursuing, but he just keeps emphasizing it needs to be based on research and justification. I wait a few minutes for him to say, hey, Eris, not everything is demonstrated by evidence. Sometimes it's important to come up with an idea so that you know what to look for. And then the evidence will sometimes come much later. Sometimes in science we have to work on an idea, develop it, even though we don't have the evidence for it. So I just wait for him to say that, and I say, oh, okay, right. So it's cool then. If I feel a little bit of confidence about it theory, see, I don't naturally feel confidence. I need that from the people around me, bro. And I understand I can't get that from my dad, but I need it from somebody. You need to feel a thought is worth pursuing. Obviously, I must feel it somehow, someone. Otherwise, I wouldn't have developed as much as I have. But I just think sometimes I'm such a champion and a hero. I look around, I'm like, holy shit, you've done the work. How did you do that? You must have believed in it. I don't remember ever really believing in it. But it's really like, what else am I gonna do, bro? And then you know what's great is it's like chasing a high, because every once in a while you do get this profound feeling of knowing, of I do actually, of vindication, of validation. I'll read something, or I'll explain something to someone, it'll make sense to them, or I'll read something and holy shit, oh my gosh, yes, so it is true, or at least suggested, at least seems true. Okay. Otherwise, we would only consider ideas we already know to be correct. But what would the reward be for a new or unique idea? We talk about the pleasure of knowledge for knowledge's sake, but this presumes that what you are acquiring is bona fide knowledge. Proceeding without any sense of a thought's value isn't a high priority activity. Just watch your kid avoid his homework, complaining bitterly that studying Latin or logic is worthless. What's the point? Is nothing more than thought's reward system switched to off, or running on empty if you prefer the neurochemical metaphor. What's the point? What's the point is nothing more than thought's reward system switched to off. I don't really have that what's the point. I'm just like, can I continue? Because I actually have no reason to think that anything I'm doing is really false. Except for when Dad talks about quantum mechanics, I'm like, oh fuck. So is my whole concept of biology outdated? Should I just sit around and wait until quantum mechanics starts talking about biology seriously? No, I can't wait around for that. I'm just gonna do my thing. I'm not promising you it's right, but I am insisting that it's the best we got. And it's fucking useful, bro. Pretty sure. Been useful for me, distancing myself from my mental events.
good.
Can they get out?
Yeah, well, I think we may leave before them, right? You want to go to that place, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking we'd have lunch there.
Oh, I've got an appointment at 2 p.m.
Oh, who with?
with Weber. So I'm busy for 3 hours, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm busy.
Wow. So we're not going to that place to pick up the thing then?
Why not? We can go before or after.
What's the time now?
11, but I don't know whether it's arrived yet. I don't think it's arrived yet.
Oh, okay. So.
Eye is on. Recording started.
Should be good now then?
That's great, yeah. So you travel quite